Gene, well, thank you so much for being willing to meet with me and share a little bit
Yeah,
about your passion for virtual reality in education. Can you start out by sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do?
sure. My name is Gene Osborne. I'm a learning technology integrator with Albemarle County Schools. So I offer direct technology support to two schools in particular. I have a middle school and a high school, and there's a huge range of tech projects that I'm involved with. I also have division level projects. These are projects based in technology and innovation that take me out of my two base schools.
Hmm.
We have 26 schools in the district, and I support 16 of our licensed schools with Minecraft learning. So I'm
Hmm.
working with teachers, working with kids, designing curriculum, curating curriculum in Minecraft. That's my division level project.
That's
This
cool.
year, we're sort of in year zero, our sort of building year for virtual reality. So we are going to next year begin to offer a range of VR projects, but those are also part of my division level projects as a learning technology integrator.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, one of those you mentioned was Minecraft. Can you expand a
Mm.
little bit more? Tell us more. What have you guys been doing with Minecraft? Because that's kind of a VR experience. But what,
Yeah,
what does that look like in education?
so VR for, excuse me, Minecraft for us has been just an awesome opportunity to get kids playing, exploring, making, digital making within school. The gaming dynamics in Minecraft are awesome and
Hmm.
kids love them. So we've just wanted to make sure that as much learning as possible can happen in this game-based setting. It happens to be Minecraft right now, but child's, a child's urge to play and explore, a child's love of immersive digital environments. It's pretty awesome, and the
Mhm.
curriculum spans all content areas. Um, of course, there's science integration. It's I love when Minecraft shows up in the literature or language arts classroom. That's
Right.
when I get really excited integrating it with yeah, either a children's book or young adult novels such as Lord of the Flies or Hunger Games. I mean, City of
Yeah.
Ember. We're seeing just amazing opportunities for kids to recreate settings.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really a lot of it is can this child visualize what they've read and then make that setting. And then the gaming dynamics are awesome because then you can
Mhm.
be on an island from Lord of the Flies and
Right.
run around with pigs, and
Right.
it's awesome. I hope they don't kill Piggy, but other than that, I think it's a
Yeah.
pretty awesome opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I mean, you mentioned how students can really create a world and then run around inside of that. And I've found with my own students that we've been creating environments in using co-spaces to
Mm,
give an experience and a way for students to really immerse themselves into an environment.
mm-hmm.
And I know that that's one of the things that you've seen as powerful element of VR, and that is immersing students into an environment or what they create. Can you tell us a little bit
That's right.
more about that? What does it mean to actually immerse a student into what they're learning about?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the way we as people can create empathy in really unique ways. I mean, we can empathize and become an avatar such that the experiences that that avatar has feel real to us. And I have experienced myself. I'm not, Corey, I'm not a big gamer. I mean, I grew up playing on my dad's Commodore 64, and I liked a lot of 2D computer-based games, but I didn't, for the most part, I was outdoors,
Mm,
biking, skateboarding,
mm,
playing street hockey. I mean, stuff that kids do. Um, but the experiences I've had in Minecraft activated a sense of adventure and fun and togetherness
mm.
that I feel in love about the real world.
Right.
So that question is super fascinating to me. How can a child's mind have such incredible sort of empathy in these immersive environments, such that those experiences they register as memories and
Yeah.
things that sort of have the opportunity to shape the child's sense of fun or a sense of teamwork. So, the reason I feel it's so important to create this sense of immersion is the same reason I think it's important to send kids on field trips or get them
Right.
outdoors, get them into a creek. You know, it's
Yeah.
if you look at a public school, and where we are a one-to-one district. So how can a teacher create that incredible sense of engagement, that incredible
Right.
sense of, I'm here with these people doing this, where maybe we're under attack. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
once you get into the gaming dynamics of Minecraft, then you've fully opened up, so much potential. And
Mhm.
the goal is to make kids feel like school is a safe and fun and amazing place to be. That's the goal. It happens using Minecraft as one way to explore that goal. Are you learning in the context of this sense of togetherness and safety? And if the answer is yes, then I think we're looking at the right technology tool. Minecraft isn't perfect. I've seen a lot of crocodile tears. I've seen a lot of negotiations between kids, and I think that's also kind of awesome. It's such an immersive environment that if something happens, it activates our emotions. We feel the sense of of wow, like amazement, but we also feel the sense of like frustration. And I'm comfortable with school being a place where kids navigate through that territory, that emotional territory. So
Yeah, that is so cool.
Minecraft offers that.
Yeah, now Minecraft's just one of the platforms that we're talking about, but tell me some others that you've had contact with that you've seen used in education and used effectively to bring VR and that immersive experience into education.
Yeah, so I think that we're really just looking at this question of VR as a school district, as a tech team. I'm on a small team of learning technology integrators, but I want to look at this question of immersive learning through VR with teachers. And the reason why I don't want this to come across as a non-answer. In fact, I'm pretty excited to say, like, hey, listen, we haven't launched room scale VR yet.
Yeah.
We know that integration with room scale VR is going to be a profound experience because of the work that we've done researching it. As I get the pulse of our students, that look in their eyes when I mentioned that the next year we'll be bringing the HTC Vive to multiple schools. And we're looking at providing that type of experience through next year with the Tilt Brush, of course, as well as Google Earth VR. These are going to be two of our really basic entry points. I wanted to make sure that I could work with teachers, principals on just two products that I felt were just so charismatic. I want those small wins before we look at all of the other potential with regard to immersive environments. Right. So, Minecraft is our main platform for immersive learning, but I'm just already collaborating with teachers, looking at what does that look like in horticulture? What can that look like in earth science? What can that look like in mathematics? I mean, and I don't have an answer yet. I'm enjoying this exploration with teachers because as you and I know, they're looking at this question of VR, looking at this question of how learning will change with VR. It's just so exciting. And when you work with a teacher who's got that sense of, let's look at this question. Let's explore what this could mean for kids. Right. Let's explore what this could mean for the process of teaching and the process of learning. That answering that question is huge. So, so Google Earth VR, Tilt Brush, room scale products through, I don't know, Corey, if you've heard of Vive Port, which is a subscription-based service that HTC Vive is putting out. I haven't looked at it, but it's a subscription-based model. So we're going to explore this idea of, accessing worlds through either Steam or Viveport, curating them onto our hardware and making sure that we can expand from the Tilt Brush and expand from Google Earth VR. Wow. But again, I want to make sure that we've got a room scale setup for next year that's certainly functions well. Bless you.
Well, thank you.
That functions well and is ready to go.
And it's so exciting. I mean, there's so many innovations that technologists are doing right now in the virtual reality realm, and there are some exciting developments in the future. Can you speak a little bit into, you're in that, you've been doing a lot of research and finding out about what's available and what's to come. Tell us a little bit about what you see in terms of virtual reality in education, in the classroom, in the future.
Yeah, so I think a big thing for schools to look at is getting a type of support with VR that really is equitable and provides equal access to all students. It's super tempting, and we've seen teachers use VR with student devices, BYOD, cell phones, mobile devices, tablets. With our, and there's some technical hoops to jump through. I don't necessarily want teachers providing VR experiences through our public network with BYOD devices, handheld devices that aren't available to us. So right now what we've done is, rather than kind of roll out like 360 video and 360 photography lesson plans, we've worked with some teachers as well as our technology team to make sure that we've identified a strong mobile device that can go on our purchase list, so that principals can buy a set of let's say 5 to 10. Right now we're looking at iPod touches, the 32 gig iPod touch, and we of course we explored Samsung Gear VR, but based on the type of the ecosystem we have right now with technology, that iPod looked like a good way for us to host Google Expeditions in a way that's robust, that we know that our tech support, our client support specialists can, they can support the iPod. So right now we're looking at providing those devices, and again, writing a lesson plan that lives or dies by a student device, that lives or dies by the public network. That's not the type of robust, equitable VR experience that I really want to provide for our schools.
Right.
So again, VR being my district level project, I want to think of a way that a principal can say, okay, I want VR in my school. What are a couple of options? And then, they can work with someone like myself or these teachers on building out all of the curriculum that would then, either be accessed through a mobile device-based VR, which would be our iPod Touch strategy, as well as room scale VR, which then is looking next year at providing the HTC Vive at the school, which is crazy exciting.
Yeah. And now I'm just curious. HTC Vive. Now that's one of those higher end platforms. Bringing that into a school, you obviously, the cost barrier trying to get a full class set of HTC Vives, you're talking about computer power and everything. So what are the dynamics or some of the hurdles that you see that you're going to have to overcome bringing that to a school and having so many students excited about using one device or a handful of devices? What does that look like? How do you see that being used well?
That's an awesome question, and I'm pretty excited to answer that question alongside what's at one of the schools where we're doing a pilot. We have what's called a student technology. It was advisory committee, but we're actually looking at it's a tech advocacy committee. This idea of kids providing feedback to administrators and teachers about how tech can best be used at school. So I'm going to partner with these kids around this idea of authorship and ways that we can leverage our one-to-one devices. We all have Lenovo 11Es, and we've successfully loaded and launched Unity on it. I'd like to make sure that kids are experts at creating 360 video and using 360 photographs, porting those into the Unity engine and adding interactive text. I mean, I think there's a lot of electives through our school district that would love to look at this authorship piece. And if a kid always has, from grade 6 to 12, a laptop with them, or has the option to have it with them, if they can take it home, I really want to explore this question. And again, with that committee of kids, like, let's answer this question with kids. Right. Like, how can we build content? How can we become authors in VR, working around the clock? I know kids are going to be passionate about this, game design. And then we'll build guidelines and a structure for accessing the Vive. We still haven't built any guidelines with the tether and with some of the vertigo associated with it, the tether coming off of the HTC Vive. We're answering this question of safety. Do we want to make sure that parents have signed off on something before you have access to the Vive? I know at one of the schools in which we're doing it, I'd like to have we're putting it in what's considered a digital makerspace, so the kids will have access to just a really cool environment, extended monitors for their computers, USB microphones, MIDI keyboards, The idea is to have a charismatic space where kids can edit movies, make a podcast, just hang out as teenagers. And then on Fridays, that would be our big immersive VR day. So kids would sign out for it, teachers could, I mean, I want it public facing, I want it accessible to kids during lunch and study hall, but we're not quite there yet. We'll have to build to that level of culture and structure.
Right.
I don't necessarily want to blaze in with a ton of barriers to entry, but building it with kids and getting principals to sign off on it, saying, okay, this is the degree of structure that we want to have around it. Now, if you have 1,000 kids in a school, no one could be on the Vive for more than 10 minutes, right? And that would be kind of around-the-clock use,
right.
the length of the school day. I want to provide teachers with the opportunity to sign out the immersive room. You know, the lighthouses are somewhat fragile, so rather than have the lighthouses move throughout the school and set them up and have them possibly fall over or be mishandled, we have designated a space for our Vive. Teachers could sign it out by period, and again, the same question will be answered with teachers. We can't have all of your kids on it the whole lesson. So what does our lesson look like that involves authorship within VR, such that the Vive is almost a sort of a culminating experience or a testing ground for that which they're building? With fine arts integration or with Google Earth integration, I could see building lesson plans where kids rotate through, they explore a region, they fly over plate boundaries, they experience, through that immersive environment, something that ties into the curriculum. And then let's be really creative and aggressive about what we do after the Vive. Take that energy and now let's write, now let's sculpt, now let's play. What do you do with that energy, and how does it act as a springboard for kids? And I want to kind of create that workflow with teachers, but because we haven't rolled out a room scale setup yet, that's a question yet to be answered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's necessarily limited to that one student, as you're saying, that has the headset on. I mean, if you have that external monitor, I know personally in my own classroom that I'll select one or two students from the class at the end of a project, or at the end of a work time on a project, and have them share, like we're doing right now, 50 states. So we're talking about the United States, and they have to take a map and then put interesting objects on each state and name each state for fifth graders.
Oh, wow.
So then I select a handful of students who worked really well on that project, who put a lot of time and effort into it, and they put on the headset, and then we just do I use Squirrel's reflector, and it just reflects whatever's on their phone to the desktop computer, which goes to the screen.
Nice.
And then the class can share in that experience. Even if they're not necessarily the one with the headset on, they still get to experience the what that student sees. And that student, has control over what they see and where they go in the world, but they get to have that shared experience. And you're right when you say that it creates almost a platform to have that excitement that carries over, and that gets me excited about my students learning, because we take that energy and we do bring it throughout the rest of the class. I'm curious with the Vive. What are there creation platforms out there that are maybe with Unity, and I'm not familiar enough with it, but you can create on a like a desktop computer or a laptop computer? Can you create on the cloud or on the computer and then upload that to the Vive, so the students can work on a project outside of the
that's
Vive
a great
itself?
question. I wonder what that looks like with regard to like authoring through Unity, publishing on Steam, accessing through the Vive. We haven't explored that workflow yet. I'm really confident about our ability to integrate the Rico Theta or 360 video into some of our curriculum, and pushing that to YouTube and having the student access that through a mobile device or through the Vive. Again, we haven't established that workflow completely, but I believe in just jumping in and making sure that we're learning through making, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I'd be surprised if we couldn't get that running. It's almost like we're sort of building this airplane while it's flying a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know that Unity, there's a lot of digital competencies and a lot of technical, a big learning curve with Unity. I learned enough of it so that I could sort of sit alongside a kid who's ambitious about learning it. But it's same is sort of true with, other technology skills like coding. I mean, I love facilitating coding and getting kids going, but I'd like to think my students are stronger coders by the end of the school year than I am as I work with different classes, So the same will probably be true with some of these authorship platforms. I'm going to work around the clock for these kids to make sure that, all the communication is in place with teachers, administrators, our network engineers, but that authorship piece, how creative and robust is that 360 video you made? That's the passion of the kid that's going to dictate the depth with which they go, and the same will be true for Unity. Authorship platforms outside of that, I'm working with a couple of teachers through a horticulture class, and we're going to do iterations of botanicals with the tilt brush. Super excited about it, and that to me is almost an experiential learning piece.
Right.
Can we screen capture that? And also, like you were saying, having students view through an extended monitor, that tilt brush creation is going to be such a wonderful, wonderful experience. I know it. I mean, some of my best Minecrafters are really satisfied watching, advising, and participating passively while Minecraft learning is happening. And that really shocked me. Kids like to watch Minecraft, and it's not really an entertainment-based passive activity. It's very much like they're engaged with the learning process, almost like a 2-to-1 computer-student ratio, 2 students to a computer.
Right.
So like you're saying, I really trust our ability to provide engaging learning through VR, even if 1 kid's in the headset and 3 kids are watching the monitor. I still think there's going to be a good experience there.
No, I completely agree. There's amazing opportunities in the future, and the way that students are already diving into and using VR in the class is pretty exciting. You mentioned, how students, you almost hope or see that they're better coders than you by the end of the year. And I see the same thing in my class. I feel like I set kind of a baseline and give them some basic features of maybe a VR creation app. And then I give them the parameters of the assignment, and it's really project-based in a big way. And the students solve the problems themselves. And it's really exciting to see students as they're creating a virtual world they find out a new feature, and then they turn to their neighbor and said, "Hey, do you know how to do this?" And then they're so excited, and it's almost like wildfire and spreads throughout the classroom, where the kids are so excited about sharing what they're learning and getting new information from others. And that comes from that excitement about the platform and what you can creatively make in that virtual world. I think it's a very exciting time. So I couldn't agree more.
I think what I hear you saying is we're really, if we look at lifelong learning competencies, their ability to engage with difficult tasks and to rely on their peers or an aspirational peer, someone a little bit older than them, relying on the web to do the type of research and curation needed to learn something new. Not trying to, as teachers, I think it's not that we're throwing our hands in the air. I think it's actually an imperative. It's the best service we can provide our kids is to create a safe space in which they can then explore, learn, and collaborate on tasks that, gosh, even the teacher doesn't know how to do. VR presents that question, that opportunity to kids, saying, listen, we're in this together. This is as exciting for me as it is for you. Can we make a video game together? Do you think that's something we can figure out? And the kid's saying, yeah. And I say, well, can we connect it to your class in U.S. and Virginia history? Can you do that? I can try. It's like this awesome opportunity to learn that digital skill. And the reason why I think it's really important to provide kids with these types of projects and assessments is because I just see engagement goes up so high. And I've taught for hours from slide decks and PowerPoints to kids who didn't want to be there, where engagement was so low, and I felt like I was developing tricks, like forms of coercion to get kids to engage with the engage with the curriculum, learn vocabulary that didn't mean anything to them. These digital tools, they're just so charismatic, and they invite kids to really like kind of rise to the learning task, and connecting those digital competencies to curricular themes is so exciting.
Right.
You know, hey, let's build an app for your phone. Can you make that app be about what we're reading in literature? You know,
Right.
And then connecting that, it's like, if it wasn't for the engagement, Corey, if I didn't see kids like get that look in their eyes, like, I want to do that. You mean I can do that and get credit for this class? You know, that I want to provide that opportunity as broadly and as wildly as possible. So.
Well, Gene, really appreciate your words and all your insight. And sounds like you've done a lot of research and really have a sense of what the benefits are of bringing VR into a district. And appreciate you sharing that insight with us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the educational community before we sign off here?
Yeah, I just always, we can always reach out and collaborate, but also just, if you don't, just work hard for kids, and stand up for kids, and understand that, teaching them how to be human within these digital realms, tools, these digital environments, helping them remember, what it means to share, collaborate, to trust. I think connecting these incredibly powerful technologies to behaviors and aspects of character that are so central to being human, I think that's really our role here in some regards, is to keep kids, like, get them back in their bodies. I think VR gets kids back in their bodies. When I watch kids move in room scale VR, it's like, that's what it should look like. It just feels right to me when I see them moving like that. So, I just think as long as we don't get too sidetracked or too distracted by the tools, and we forget that we're actually, creating this incredibly holistic experience for kids, I think we're going to do all right. And and again, I want our kids I want kids in the driver's seat with this tool. It's a powerful tool. It challenges our notions of privacy, our notions of community, of possessions, of so much. It really, I believe, will challenge those notions. So if we can stay central to what's right and good by being a human being, I think that we can set the stage and set the tone for how VR is used in families, communities, and schools.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you, Gene. And if people wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so just messaging me on Twitter. So Gene L. Osborne is my handle. Let's post my work email address. That'd be awesome. It's we're here in Central Virginia, so collaborating remotely. I do want to look for people interested in answering this question of math instruction through VR. I'm interested in seeing if we can deliver robust math instruction and then have students perform well on two-dimensional assessments. Like, that's a question that I'm actively wanting to answer. So anybody interested in either authoring some curriculum with me or curating curriculum with me, and then maybe sharing data. I'm not in any sort of program, but I'm interested in saying, hey, did your kids do better on that test than they would have if they didn't have VR? So anyone out there wanting to answer that question, reach out and let's work hard for it.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Gene, thank you again. Thank you for all the hard work that you're doing, moving VR and education forward, and really excited to hear and continue connecting in the future about how some of these projects progress. Super excited to hear about the HTC Vive and how that rollout works, and also bringing the VR devices into the classrooms. Sounds like there's some exciting developments happening in your district. So can't wait to see how that goes.
I'd also take a second to thank you, Corey. I really appreciate the way you're bringing teachers together. That's great work. It's so important, and I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, well, and that's one of my dreams, is to create a place for people to connect about the subjects like this, where we can share these ideas. Because if this is going to be a platform that is going to have a big impact, there needs to be collaboration. There needs to be that sharing.
Right.
So I'm hoping that with Teaching VR, we can keep promoting and facilitating that. So thank you, Gene, and best of luck as you go throughout the rest of this year and jumping into the next.
Yeah, well, let's talk soon, Corey.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Gene.